So welcome everyone this evening to a special metaphysical communion. This is a redo of last week's show on color and auras and the fall season. I learned that last week's program unfortunately had, very poor audio, and that really people could not understand what I was saying. So that was very unfortunate because I did the entire program thinking that everything was working just perfectly. At least from this end, there was no indication of any problems. No one wrote in saying that there was a problem with the program, and it was being recorded. It was live on Facebook also. And then I found out later on that, that unfortunately, that was not to be, and the sound was really not understandable at all. So I've decided to do this program again. So now that we have, the audio and the sound working right, at least I hope so. And if anybody's out there that can comment on that, I would appreciate it greatly, because sometimes when I'm, programming from here, I really can't see that, that is happening or not. So the only way that I can tell for sure that this is really working is that if you let me know. I've done everything that I can to see that indeed I can make this happen and that everything is 100% correct. But until I hear a commentary, I won't know. So I got Mariana here. Hi, Mariana. I would appreciate, Mariana, if you let me know if everything sounds all right and you can understand what I'm saying before I continue. Because I don't want to do another program like this and then have, nothing being understood. Because I don't want to do another program like this and then have, nothing being understood. So I'll wait a moment for a response. Thank you so much. Lovely. So I'll wait a moment for a response. Thank you so much. Lovely. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so here we go. So we got a program working 100%. Very good. So again, we're going to do this program on auras and colors for the season. I know that many of you have seen programs like this in the past. There's a myriad of them in YouTube on aura and colors and what you can do with them, how you can work with them, etc. That's all very good. I've seen them a lot too, and I've learned a great deal actually from them also. However, it came to me last month that colors were going to be very important to work with for this season. And when Spirit provides that type of information and inspiration, I always listen and go with that because there's something very significant, there, to look at. And indeed, as I've seen in the last few weeks, using, things like color, for aura and for healing work has been essential. We've had a rough, let's say, last month or so with Mercury retrograde, which has been very, very difficult this period. And in addition, several other planets, including Saturn and Jupiter and Mercury, etc., who had been also in retrograde also, was putting a lot of pressure on all of us. It was taxing us to the core. Now, luckily, some of those planets such as Saturn, I do believe Uranus also, and now Jupiter as of today are starting to go direct. Mercury will go direct on Monday, October 18th. So the hard period, the difficult time, will soon subside. It will take a few days or so, until things really regulate properly direct, because just because planets just suddenly, it's the official day, that they go direct doesn't mean that everything rights itself instantly. It takes a while for those energies to resettle and to just calm down, and finally for things to start moving directly properly once again, where we can feel that we're lighter and more ourselves and more present in the world, and we can begin to live again, properly, 100%. So, but at least the real difficult period is coming to an end. So we can all breathe a sigh of relief. And I'm certainly feeling the change for the better already in the last few days. It's still been trying here and there because we're still not over it, but there is some positive experiences happening already. There's a lightening of the atmosphere, which is good to see. So with that, using colors, using our aura to help us out in times of stress, hostility, even lack of communications, lack of understanding with others, is very helpful to, let's say, settle ourselves, get us into a state of wellness, presence, and just trying to calm down these negative energies that are around us, not be dominated by them. So it's important to recognize and know about your aura and about the color activations in your aura and how your emotions, how your mental state impacts upon your aura fields. As I said, we're in the fall season, so we're going to be focusing a little different than some other programs that we've all seen, relating to aura work and the colors that you use. And of course, the more popular colors that we're more familiar with, the blues, the greens, the yellows, the reds, that are more well-known, for our aura, the purples, and the white, of course. Those are aura colors that a lot of people know about and know their meaning pretty much and know what it indicates, for us when we're doing this type of work. But I'm going to focus and concentrate on colors that deal with the autumn, because they are part of our aura as well. Our aura has many, many colors, many tones, many hues, many tints. And there are colors that we're not as familiar with that can be activated from time to time. And because we're not used to knowing about them enough or connecting with them enough, we don't see, how they can affect us and how we can affect our aura. And we need to recognize, these particular colors because they can be very helpful to us in wellness and healing and balance of our spiritual systems and even affecting our physical systems as well. So we're going to talk about those colors that deal with the autumn season, because that is what came to me to really focus on. Because right now we've moved away from the summer season, obviously, and along with the summer season comes the colors that are associated with summer: the blues, the light greens, the pinks, the yellows, the brighter colors, lavenders, reds, vibrant, colors that are usually with us because it's part of the season, it's part of the atmosphere, the texture of that season. But now we have moved away from that. And we're closing in on the first month of the fall season, and we're really into the season at this moment. So those colors change along with that season. So tonight we're going to focus on the colors that deal with the fall: the browns, the orange, the deep greens, the golden colors, the yellows with the golden aspects of it, the reds, the scarlet, the crimson, the hues, usually darker tones that are in the atmosphere for the fall autumn season, because that is the color and the texture that we're dealing with at this time, and how we can capitalize on those colors to use them for our aura, and how they activate through our aura, through our emotions, our thoughts, and how we can work with them also properly. Because with these particular darker hues, and again, we're talking about the browns, the deeper greens, even the black as well. That's part of the season, the deeper oranges, We have to know how to utilize those colors so that they are a help to us and not a detriment. So on that note, I'm going to present, a presentation that I prepared for this. So we're going to visually see what I am talking about and not just hearing me speaking about this, because we're dealing with colors after all. And colors are visual and they cause an impact upon us, an emotional, feeling, for us. So it's more than just seeing, it's also feeling and knowing. But because colors are so highly visual for us here in the world, we need to actually see what we're talking about. So that's why I prepared, this presentation for this evening. So we'll go along with it and you'll get to see more about what I am saying and learn along the way. So as you see, color auras for the fall season. And those are some of the colors and hues that we will be speaking about in varying degrees, as I just mentioned a moment ago. So first of all, let's start with the basic color chart. And as I said earlier, we have here many of the popular colors that we're more familiar with, again, such as the greens, the lighter greens, the lighter blues, the purples, the reds, and of course the white. But what we're going to be speaking about this evening actually is the other colors that are just as important, for our aura and for how we can work with them. But getting to know them a little bit more, what their definitions are, what they mean to us, how they're activated for us, and how we can capitalize on their energy so that we can enhance ourselves in times of need. So first of all, of course, we know about the red, with love and passion, yellow, happy and cheerful, joyful. Green, of course, is nature, nurturing, the color of finance, success, money. Blue, which is, of course, calm, the ocean, emotions. Purple, which is usually known as the royal color, the color of spirit. So it is wise, creative, expansive. But we're going to focus a little bit more on the other colors, such as the browns, the deeper greens, the golden yellows, the orange, the deeper shades of orange, and the reds, the more scarlet hues of reds that we see in nature, which are happening right at this time. We're in New York here, the leaves are just beginning to change. So fall is pretty much, on time. It's been a little bit warm lately, so the leaves aren't really changing as much as you'd expect around this time of the year, but it is starting to happen. Of course, when you go to upper, New York in this case, near the mountains, you can see the leaves changing there. The colors are, full flower. More that have you go to the upper states, Massachusetts, Vermont, which is famous for their fall foliage. At this time, we're in peak season, up in the northern, the New Hampshires, or so. Maine, they're in peak season for these colors, and actually by this time they may even be starting to already start to move beyond peak season, and we'll see more of the browns, deeper oranges at this time, because they are the ones that receive those color changes first, because they're up north and temperature gets colder up there first before it starts to head down to the lower 48. So this is what we're going to be focusing on. Those colors, for the season, because that is what's most active for us now. And we need to learn more about them and recognize them and see what they can do to help us. Let's begin with brown. Brown, of course, is the color of the earth. It is to be grounded. It stabilizes. So that particular color helps us in times where we feel anxious, frazzled, even crazed, with worry, with tensions. We focus on the color brown that helps to bring us back to earth, literally, to make us stronger. It offers stability, helps to clarify things as well. Hopefully it'll reduce anxieties and tensions that are bothering us at the time. It helps us to be present. But it also, for this particular season, it accepts what is being dealt with. So that's what you have to focus on here. Accept what is being dealt with. Being rock steady during times that are chaotic and confusing. And we've had a lot of those times in the last year and a half, here in the world. So this is really helping to stabilize us and to make us more focused, place more attention where it needs to be more real and grounded in our lives. So as you can see here in the color chart that I'm presenting to you here, once again, it's the color stability and reliability. It's comforting because it is warm color. It is the color of the season that's getting colder and we're staying in more. It's comforting. It is also the color of wisdom, also, because we're usually more calmer, so we can be more present, more focused, and more attuned with one another, also. It is also a color of protection. It gives honest opinions support. It stabilizes us. It, again, keeps us grounded, appreciative of things in life. So, symbolizing these things is reliability, stability, honesty, comfort. The effects is it does simplify things because it's not a very emotional, color. So it keeps things real. Protects and grounds. The positive aspects are appreciation, support, wisdom, and being dependable. But like all things, there are also negatives, to these colors as well. And some of the negatives, as you can see here, are it can be boring, or your energy can be bored, or you can become bored of things quickly, dull, even timid. You lose some of your, let's say, your courage or your energy, to do things, and can be predictable, also with the same thing over and over again. Because if you get too quiet and too sentient, you tend to start ruminating too much and just doing the same old thing. So that's something to be watchful of. So brown can be very stabilizing, yes, and grounded, but you don't want to use too much of the color or incorporate it into your aura because it can make you stagnant and not really want to move too much or lose a bit of your spark, a bit of excitement for things. So we have to be very mindful of these colors in particular. So we utilize them when we feel out of sorts, we feel nervous, a lot of tension, anxiety, we're angry. So we can breathe into that and help it calm us. Put that into our auric field, to a bit, but don't fill your entire aura or the majority of it with brown, because then again, it just makes you too heavy and too lacking in energy. And that's the last thing you want to do for yourself. It's about balance and focus. So you see that here. In our smaller chart here, and it also connects to our root chakra connections as well. So again, it's about, being mindful of things that could cause emotional pain, social trauma, things of that nature. So again, be mindful of this. If you need to look at these charts, which I have for this evening more and more, you can always look back at the program. It will be posted, on Facebook. So that way you can look at it at your leisure, and you can even stop the video. So that way you can have a good look, at the chart and read more into it and see how you can learn more about the definitions, the meanings, and how you can incorporate this into yourself. So here we have different shades and different hues of brown, as well. So we have the coffee to cream, attuned to nature, which is very true because it helps you as a nature person now, especially. So much happening in nature with the colors. So you can see the leaves here. That's why I presented them here, because it's so connected to nature. That talks about, again, having that connection, being aware lighter yellowish talks about, perhaps emotional pain. So be mindful of how you utilize the color. Different hues and colors. You can read this here later on. And again, a little bit about nature so before we continue. When you see leaves that are brown, what that indicates is that, yes, you can usually see them on the ground because that means that the leaves are dried up. Well, in essence, yes, they are. But you have to know about the different colors of the leaves and why they are that way. First of all, in the summer months, of course, all the leaves are beautiful and green on the tree. They're pretty much even toned, even colors or so. The fall comes, you see the colors start to change, of the leaves as the tree starts to become more dormant. It's heading into the colder climates, getting ready to rest. And that's what the fall season is about. It's about rest. The world is starting to slowly, gradually go to sleep. And nature is going to sleep to rest and recuperate from all the work that it did during the spring and summer months. All the nurturing it provided, all of the energy, all the vegetables and fruits that came with that season. So that's a lot of energy that the earth expends. So now in the northern regions of the world, where the fall season is active, now the world is going to go to rest and recuperate from all of that energy expenditure. So with the trees in particular, when you see the colors changing, that indicates that the tree is taking from the leaves sustenance in the form of sugar. And the leaves are the food for the tree. And chemicals, biology of the trees, the chemicals are sugar that keeps those leaves green. But now the tree is going to take from those leaves and it's going to store it into itself. So it is taking out the sugar from those leaves to store it into itself for the cold months. What that means, as that process happens, the leaves start changing colors, from there. So that's where you see the oranges, the yellows, the reds start to happen, the golden colors start to happen, the browns, because as the tree is taking in the sugar, the leaves are losing that sugar, which gives it its color. So they start changing into those various hues that you see. And finally, when the tree has taken all the sugar out of those leaves, they become brown. There's nothing left there, and then they fall off to the ground. That's the reason why leaves change their colors, because the tree is storing all of the nurturants, all of the sustenance from those leaves into itself. So during the fall and especially the winter months, it can sustain itself. It feeds on that. And it keeps the tree alive, even though it's in its dormant state. When the spring returns, that's when you start seeing the buds start to come out again, because the leaves are coming back. The tree is coming back to life once again, to awakened state. And then the cycle resumes again. So moving on to that, let's go cover the color orange, here. So with the color orange, it is a very creative force. It is part of us also our chakra system. We have our 7 main chakras of the system. Orange, is secondary. It's the second chakra. Up first is red, then moves to orange. Orange is located near our navel area. It is an area there that is about creativity, reproduction, energy, new life, projects, new beginnings. It is a color of vitality, positive energy, because it's new beginnings, a fresh start. It is the color of fire, life, flames are alive, energy. So as I've stated here, and from what I received spiritually, of course it is the energy, the positive thinking, the outlook, which is always positive, or you should focus on the positive things. It's in tune with the world, an increase in personal power. And that's what we need here at this time for the fall, focusing on what is it that we can look forward to for the future. What projects and ideas can I start implementing now? Because with the summer, we've taken our time off. It is our time to enjoy ourselves. We're out more. We're basically going, on vacations. We're going to the beach. We're taking trips. We're spending time with our family. We're doing picnics. We're playing sports. It's our time to play. When the fall comes, that no longer is, and we start to think about, okay, we have to get back to work. New projects, new innovations. What are we going to focus on to improve our future? How are we going to sustain ourselves for the colder months? It's about work, usually. And it's also about, staying in more, too, and taking care of family. It's about work. And just support with one another. We're usually more together, at least usually we are. And then the holiday seasons start coming more, of course, during this time period between fall and winter. So we're spending more time together, usually coming towards the end of the year. So it's a culmination of things later on and what we've accomplished throughout the year. And it's about, just coming together and celebrating one another. At least usually it is. So orange is the fire of life, which is dynamic and promotes movement, especially this season. Movement is very important, being busy, being focused on doing new and positive things, getting away from the negative, which there's so much of that in the world right now. It's a drive to accomplish goals, accomplish positive goals that will help us to be better in the future, more financially secure, and see how much farther we can go than we could ever imagine at this moment in time. It's pushing us to do extra and seeing how much that we can do that and we can succeed. So it is the color of enthusiasm and emotion as well. Orange exudes warmth and joy. It's considered a fun color, and it provides emotional strength. It's optimistic, uplifting, spontaneous, and it encourages social communication and creativity. It indeed is youthful and an energetic color. So we see a lot of orange also in the summer, for those purposes, going out, having fun, enjoyment, tropical, color as well. And it is about fun, vitality, the summer, yellow and orange, gold and orange, the color of life, the color of the summer. But it also is very important, for the fall, as you can see too, because we're surrounded by it at this time. It's the color of the season, the color of Halloween, for instance, which is usually black and orange, are prominent at this time. The color of the vegetation, the color of pumpkins and other vegetables, that are now at bounty. We're reaping from the harvest. In September, with the harvest moon, for instance, that is the harvest period. We're reaping what we've sowed throughout the spring and summer. So in late August, these, vegetables, these fruits that are known for this season, the apples, the pumpkins, the squash, start becoming plentiful. And those are the staples of food that we use, throughout this season. So now they are in abundance. And their colors are the oranges, the browns, the deeper greens, for instance. They are abundant among us at this time. So nature is showing us what is important for us to know to sustain ourselves, what we can tap into to help us get through this season, and what we need for our vitality, our strength, and for our preparation for the colder, months ahead. So, of course, it talks about emotion, youth, optimism. It uplifts, stimulates, encourages. The positive aspects, of course, are spontaneity, creativity, warmth, and positivity. But once again, we have our negative aspects to things. For the color orange, it is going to be about being superficial, even being a bit of an exhibitionist, impatient, and even being dominating, because it is a strong color. It's so vibrant that when it's used, beyond and our ego gets the best of us, we can become a little bit overwhelmed by that color, and then it brings out negative aspects, of us. Even though we may be well-being, with that, we want to be helpful, but if we become overly exuberant, overly obnoxious, even with certain things, demanding, impatient when things don't work out, that is not going to be a positive for you and certainly for others, and others may actually reject you and start moving away from you too, because you're overdoing it, and that color becomes dominant. And then if you see too much orange in your aura, that could indicate some of these negative characteristics as I've just read to you about. That's the last thing you want to do. You have to know how to temper, these colors. You have to know how to use them when it's necessary. Again, if you're feeling a lack of energy, you can bring in some orange into your energy, into yourself, change your aura, because as you feel and as you work with it, it will affect your aura. So the auric field will start to take on that color that you're focusing on to help you to gain strength, gain energy, vitality. But the key is to be mindful and not let it start to overrun your aura, overtake that aura, and then become too prominent, because then you will run into a problem. So it's tempering the color, knowing how to use it, and using just the right amount is essential in balance and well-being for yourself and for your auric field. Remember, the aura also projects outward, so it does affect others. Others will sense it. They may not be able to see it, but they will pick up on it through their own auric field. So we're communicating with our auras besides our speech and our behavior. It's all connected. So sometimes if people feel good around you or whatever, that's because of your aura. Also, they're feeling your energy. They're getting a sense of you that way. It's not just, your physical state or what you're saying or your behavior. It's also your aura, and they're picking that up subliminally. So that makes a very big contribution to you and your interpersonal communications with others. Here in the smaller chart, we're going to talk about, being a risk taker with the color orange, sexual energy, frenetic energy also. At times you feel you may need some change. Hidden deep emotions, so that can bring that out. So it's knowing how to utilize that well. Mindfulness, very important for that. Sports enthusiast, other color meanings, of course. We have a lot here. Health, well-being, charismatic, self-confident. Also depending on different hues, with orange red in particular, with orange yellow. Yeah, we have, other things here, being meticulous, a neatnik even. If you have a cloudy orange in your aura, if you get a sense of it, or if you're lucky enough to be able to see it or know, then that could also indicate imbalance or being egotistical. So it's getting to know how to work with your aura that is very important here, and recognizing those signs. Your chakra, of course, deals with the creativeness, the reproductive aspects of things, sexuality and emotions, of course. And then, with career, you can be an athlete, explorer. Again, you can look at these charts later on for yourself. A good way to learn how to work with colors in particular, and with these colors that we're talking about, is to, and I learned this from a psychic, a very well-known psychic, from Europe, one of the world's greatest psychics, actually, Mavis Patilla from Britain. And Mavis does a lot of work with auras and colors. So I learned, from her, from a lesson that she provided, that she says, in order to really learn how to work with color, which of course affects your aura, is to get ribbons of those colors, different colors in ribbon form. And instead of just looking at the color, it's taking a ribbon and just putting it in your hands and feeling it. Get a sense of that color by touch, by feeling that ribbon, working with that ribbon. and getting a sense of that color, a feeling for the color. Start to recognize it. Start to see what that color means to you through your senses, not just by the way it looks. And work with it that way. So it's a tactile experience besides a visual one. Because through the sense of touch, it somehow will connect with you energetically. And you'll start to learn about what that color makes you feel, what you sense from it, and working with that. And then you'll start to recognize how it affects you, and then how it looks as it affects others, as you get a sense of them and pick up on their energy and pick up on the colors of their aura that are around them and what it means. So that's a good exercise in working with color and how to recognize, the different aspects of the aura for that color as well. Moving along, let's go into now golden yellow. And as I said, it's really more about the golden hue of yellow, because bright yellows are really more for summer, and it's vibrancy, and it's wonderful, and it's joy, happiness. And of course, it still is as well, even in the colder seasons, also. But with the autumn, that yellow usually has a more darker hue, a richer, color to it, which is more in the golden tones for warmth, as well for energy, also. So golden yellow, of course, is good energy, positive. It provides hope for this particular season, as I have seen it. The golden hue associated with the Holy Trinity, that we all recognize, because whenever we see paintings, depictions of saints, of holy people, they usually have a golden light around them. Their aura is depicted in a golden yellow hue around them. When we see pictures of angels, they have a halo around them. What is the color? Gold, a golden yellow halo, light, close to spirit, close to the heavens. It is the higher realms. It is also a color of royalty, because gold is associated with the royals, with wealth, and with the potential to bring about aspiration and projects with good outcomes. That is what it's going to be for this particular season. About aspiration, what you want to accomplish, what you want to do, and working with projects. It isn't just about sitting there and waiting for it to happen for you or planning about it. It's actually going to work, taking action, doing those projects to make things happen in the right way for you, putting a lot of effort and energy into that to eventually have a good outcome from that. So gold, of course, is the color of wealth and success. It is commonly associated with prestige, influence, and hospitality. It is generosity and a compassionate color. It's about giving, abundance. Also, it is inherently optimistic, uplifting, and enlightening. It inspires us and gives us the confidence to reach our potential. Indeed, it does. And then remember this key statement here. Silence is golden. Means it is better to be silent. And sometimes, in times of, let's say, heated discussions, or where it's, let's say, it's not wise to really speak up, and recognizing that the best thing to do is to be silent. You'll gain lots more that way than speaking up or saying things out of anger or even out of ignorance, and making situations worse instead of better. So, of course, it symbolizes success, wealth, prosperity. The effects are enlightenment. Of course, it's uplifting, inspiration. The positive aspects, of course, are compassion, generosity, optimism, confidence. Because gold, once you have and you give, is because you have so much for yourself that you can impart that to others. So it is giving. It is warmth, is wanting the best for others, being of help, even being selfless, because you have everything that you need. So you want to give back or give to others so that they too can also have what they need. Again, the negative aspects in this case for this color is arrogance. So dark here, so I'm not sure. Arrogance, egotistic as well, pretentious. So of course you have to be mindful, because again, if our ego gets affected by everything that we have and we're successful or so and think that everything is so wonderful, that we're so special or whatever, we tend to become bloated, you know, with our own importance and think that we're more than what we actually are, and think that we're so special in the world that people have to basically like bow to us. And that of course is not real. So we cannot let our, you know, success get the best of us and make us think that you're immune to any negative things or so. So arrogance is never a good thing to be. And certainly not being a braggart or pretentious, because that's just being false. And being superficial, which are things that are never really good to be. It's about being real, being humble, being honest, having ethics, being respectful of others. And that's where the value comes. And others will respect you in return. So with the color range here, of course, the sun yellow is joyous. Lighter shades are, of course, are psychic, even spiritual, because that connects with the spirit. And lemon yellow is spiritual growth. And then, of course, a dark gold or so means a spiritual battle. So whenever you see these types of colors have a particular hue of something dark or so, or kind of like burnt out, that means that there could be a problem there, imbalance that needs to be looked into. So if you get a sense of that for yourself, or you get a sense of that from others, and if you are already good at, you know, detecting colors or getting a sense or feeling of it or whatever, listen to that. Watch out for that, and then clear out as is needed. Moving into the greens and the deeper greens, you know, here especially for the fall season, of course, we're going to talk about, you know, nature, nurture, sustenance, also wealth, money, financial gain, protection, taking care of things, especially the deeper emerald greens for this season in particular, very helpful. It's also a color that will tap in and connect with spirit greatly, especially for healing purposes. It's a richness of the soul. So we want to incorporate and have that in our aura. It's being attuned to nature and the world, and we especially need to have that at this time. Moving ahead to the future, once again, we're very future-oriented this season. It's about making things better, not just for health, and not just because of the COVID-19 virus that's out there, but just in general. The world needs healing also. The planet, with global warming, needs healing. Also what we can do with our own efforts, our energies, projecting positive thoughts to the world for its healing, for it to rebalance once again and have its vitality and energy restored. It's a depth of understanding. Nurturing in health and healing is essential for this season and for our aura, and how we can help others, with that color too, as we do, let's say we get a sense of others and we project healing toward them as well. So it is a color of harmony and health. Generosity, it's also relaxing as well. It revitalizes our body and mind because it is about nurturing after all. A balance of emotions, leave us feeling safe and secure. Again, because that all has to do with the physical world and with financial support. Also, it makes us feel more secure, more protected. It also gives us hope with promises of growth and prosperity, provides a bit of luck to help us out, as well. Actually, we know about St. Patrick's Day, the green, and the luck of the Irish. That affiliates with the green after all. And again, with wealth, support. Green with envy. There are negative aspects once again, or means you're very jealous, also. So we have to be mindful of the negative aspects of these things as well. So this symbolizes, of course, the harmony, safety, revitalizes, balances, and relaxes us whenever we're in a state of tension, of anger, hostility, worry, even depression. We want to bring in green into our aura. We have to work with that color to bring up our energy, to balance us, to relax us in time of need, so that we can be calm and present, once again. For those who are feeling low, depressed, or whatever, it's about energy then, and focusing in on the healing aspects of the green and the depthness there, what it means to us, what it can mean that's inside of us. So dealing with the inner world, our inner lives, stuff that's inside of us, it can help bring things up gently, calmly, so that we can deal with things that are deep inside of us, emotions that have been repressed, for instance, thoughts, feelings, to bring them up and out, but gently, calmly, so that we can handle what we're working with, step by step. That's the healthy way to work with this. The negative aspects, of course, are judgmental, materialism, also in experience as well, because again, the ego becomes too, bloated, arrogance, comes up, avarice as well. These characteristics and traits can become a little bit prominent with us. That's the last thing we want to do. We want to watch out for ourselves and bring that down. So again, it's about focus, connection, balance with these colors. If we're a little bit too important of ourselves, bring it down. Use the other colors if necessary to help balance. Use some of the yellow, for instance, with its peace and calm. Use pink, because that is the color of friendship, of love. It helps you to be altruistic, loving towards others, and especially loving towards yourself. So you have to know how to utilize these colors in combination, bring them together and balance, so that you can be the healthy person that you were meant to be. The green aura, of course, is about happiness, being creative and spiritual. For a work or career, so you can be an herbalist, somebody that works with botany, a healer, of course, because it's such a strong color of healing. Green and blue are the colors of healers and healing, especially the lighter blues. For instance, the lighter greens are the color of healing and well-being. For your chakra, it connects with your heart chakra, so it's love, emotions. So use a touch of green when you feel that you need to get in balance with your emotional self, whether it's because you're feeling a bit down or hurt even, let that green help to heal you. If you're feeling a bit angry or with your partner or someone or whatever, let that green come in to quell those emotions so that you're not overcome and overwhelmed by negativity. The color ranges are vast when it comes to greens, as you can see. With new greens over the spring is a healer, lighter greens. Emerald green is an herbalist, but also for this particular season, it's about wisdom, richness of the self, of the mind, of yourself as a person. The dark murky is about envy, so be mindful of that. If it's a dark clear green, it's emotionally stuck. Be careful sometimes with the real darker hues, that indicates a problem. Yellow green is work, play, and balance. The blue green is a powerful healer, because remember what I said, blue and green are the healing colors for those who are doing that type of work, whether it's through crystals, through a massage. A lot of people massage use color as well to incorporate. If you're doing Reiki, a lot of times you use color with your Reiki to induce healing and wellness. So those colors deal with that. Weak and lighter shades are need of healing, deep, rich, deep connection to nature. Light and dark green is a mix of health and balance. As we see here with the leaf here, it's green and a bit of browns. It's balance. Balance with the earth, balance with your emotions, the physical and the emotional. And that's where you need to be, always in a state of balance, not too much more of one than the other, unless there's a particular special circumstance that it's needed for. It doesn't always have to be set that you have to be completely stabilized for things. Things happen sometimes. If there's a time for more emotion when it's needed, then you bring up the green. It doesn't mean that you're going to go off balance. It's just that's what you need at that time. If you need to really make yourself more grounded, good for your concentration, for your attention, then bring up more of the brown, because that will help, with that to keep you more present, focused on things that need that at that time. And we're going to move into red, which is our final color for the evening here. And red is the color, of course, that it is of the heart. It's the blood, it's vitality, energy, circulation, movement, but also it can indicate as well anger, hostility, too much energy, which is not good, rage even. You must be very careful with that as well. For this particular season here, we're talking about the ranges of the deeper reds or even the lighter hues such as scarlet, crimson. Those are more of the colors of the fall. We see that with the leaves actually. At this time, they become usually a color of scarlet or crimson, and sometimes even a deeper red, as well. This particular season is going to be about change. So this color is going to denote about transition. It's going to be a time period of mysteries, a mysterious tone and hue even for this particular season. So be mindful of that. Use that for those purposes when it is necessary. It can be very helpful to you during the next few months. You will understand as you need it. Of course, red is also a color of royalty. In this case, it's more evolved in knowing. So that mysteriousness and that transition has to do with learning. Perhaps learning more about yourself, learning about more of what is meaningful to you, learning about your personal power, which adds an air of mystery even to yourself and intrigue. So it can be a bit exciting and even, give you a bit of a thrill, whether for yourself or for others or another that has that type of attribute, or you get a sense of them with that at this time. So it is about wisdom and advancement. A lighter shade will denote proceeding with calm and being present while working toward your ambitions. So that will be a very good color with, again, the lighter hues of red in particular. It'll give you that energy, that spark that you need to work toward your goals. So, as a lot of us know, it is the color of passion and energy, of course. It draws attention like no other color, and that is for sure. A vibrant color red, you can see it for miles. That's why it's the color of stop signs, because you get to see it very strongly. And it tells you, in that case, it affects your emotions, and that's a warning. That's what the danger is ahead. So be mindful, think before you leap. Because again, it's also the color of anger, rage, and hatred, and danger. So it's a warning in advance to avoid, trouble. And that's where red, in that sense, can be helpful, but then you want to bring it down, tone it down. You don't want to get into trouble by incorporating or using more red instead. So it's an energy that motivates us to take action and movement. It's very dynamic, absolutely. It gets things done, or helps you to get things done in need, when you need that extra burst of energy, of inspiration to finish what you've started. It's also linked to sexuality and stimulates deep and intimate passions, which of course we know that about. Red is ubiquitously used to warn and signal caution and danger, as I just said a moment ago. So seeing red, of course, means being very angry. And we see that even with people, when they're angry, their face turns red or crimson. And so that tells you, right, that's the blood circulation going up, the blood pressure, going up from energy, from emotion. So of course, it symbolizes strength, action, energy. Its effects, of course, are motivation, stimulating, caution even as well. It does bring a lot of attention. Those are good qualities as well. The positive, of course, is, dynamic, energy, as I said before, but sexuality gives courage in the right way. When it utilized in the right way, it provides that extra burst of courage that you may need to overcome fears and obstacles. It is confidence building as well too, used in the right way. The negative aspects that we've talked about already, anger, danger, rage even. You don't want to get to that state of things, aggression. Those are things you want to try to avoid unless if it's necessary. When you need to defend yourself. If someone's coming at you to cause you harm or whatever, you're not going to just stand there and let them have their way with you. When you need it, that's not really a negative. That's a positive because it's self-protection. And you're trying to save yourself even, from a dangerous thing or dangerous experience. So in that case, you have to know when to use it. So red is a color that you have to be very, very particular with and very mindful in how you use it. Even when you dress, even. It may look very beautiful when you have, say, a red dress on. That's very good and well and all. But just remember that it also can evoke a lot of emotion. So it does draw a lot of attention. But it can also bring up a lot of emotion even with yourself and from others, too. So I don't think it'd be a good idea to argue with another person when you're all dressed from head to toe in red. It'll just evoke even more, anger and more hostility. So, use it, carefully, sparingly. For the most part, when you dress, you just wear a blouse, not the whole outfit, or wear a pant, let's say, but mix it with other colors. So it's not overpowering. You and even your jewelry, you have a ruby or so, whatever, a garnet. That's lovely, but don't fill your jewelry with all red usually all the time. There are some special occasions when, of course, it's fine and you utilize it, but be cognizant of what the color does and what it means. And remember to just temper it accordingly. Watch your energy, watch your behavior, watch your demeanor. You don't want that red color coming too much into you and making you feel too overly bold, or being too much of a risk taker, even because it might just get you into a bit of a problem. So it's about being mindful, when you work with this color, even in your aura, when you need it, of course, in times of sickness or weakness, or if you need some courage, of course, tap into that color. Bring up the aura, bring up the red in your aura to help you with that. It can even give you clarity as well, make you stronger when you need it. But it's not a good idea to have your aura being dominated by this particular color, because then it can work against you and bring, negative results instead of the positive that you are working for and toward to, after all. So what does a red aura mean? Well, of course, this means strength, being determined, passionate, high sexual energy, competition. It's good for sports when you need it. That's wonderful. Social circumstances, excellent. When you use it wisely and properly. You don't want to be, the life of the party to the point where you overdo it, and then you turn off people instead of having them, really appreciate you. So know how to use this particular color and know how to incorporate it correctly in your aura. It's loyal, logical, of course, a natural leader, very true. It is, again, it can be the color of royalty, also. A risk taker, but again, be mindful. And there are color ranges to these things. So in particular with this color, when you have a pale blush, it's artistic, ready to be in love or so that's a good thing. Or newly in love, that's nice. Bright red is highly passionate, sexual, that's good, as long as it's done in moderation as well. A dark red is grounded, self-sufficient. That's a good color to focus on, especially for this particular season. And when you need it, again, it gives you strength, courage, but you also have to be grounded. Be mindful of what you're doing. If you have to take care of things on your own, it can be very, very helpful. When it's clouded, it's negative energy or upset. So be very careful. That goes hand in hand again with, the emotions of anger upset, rage, hostility. So you want to bring that down, tone that color, down, for you. It is the color of the root chakra, right at the very base of your spine, of the back of your spine. So it can give you action. It can be very powerful, however, you have to use it again carefully. It is an earth gateway, interesting, because that's the starting point. It's just below the color orange, which is the creative and reproductive aspects of things. It's the root chakra. So red is your root chakra, the basis. So it does offer groundedness. It is the beginning of things. So you want to keep that nice and healthy and firm. It can be grounding, as we said before, feeling safe, secure, the sense of self, as long as it's healthy and wise. And then for career, you can be an entrepreneur because it takes a bit of risk, a manager, even in medicine, because you have to be self-sufficient and knowing and wise in order to do that. Hospitality, giving of others as well too, or for others. The stock market has a lot of good attributes there for a purpose in life. A good sportsman, also, even in the military, as long as it's used wisely and correctly. So those are the colors that you need to use and how to use them, especially. It's knowing the colors, but knowing how to use them is what is essential. Because again, as I said, with these richer colors or so, these darker hues, you have to know how to measure them properly. Because they can be very easy when you go overboard. They can very easily go overboard, and then it's just too much, and then it works the opposite. It can work in the negative instead of the positive for you. And that's the last thing you want to accomplish. It's about balance. It's about knowing how to utilize them, incorporating them carefully, and focusing on your aura properly for them, putting them in the right amount, the right color, the right shade, in order to get the positive results that you need. So this season, we're going to be using a lot of these colors. We should be cognizant of them: the browns, the oranges, the gold, the green, the red. Very important, here for us. And I hope that you found, this particular program helpful, and that it familiarized you more with these particular colors, these particular shades and tones for these colors for this season. And that you'll learn to work more with them, recognize them more. Look into the charts. You can always look into this program once again, on this very page, the Angelus Cologne Transpsychic Express. And when you look at the chart, you can just pause the video at that place and then really look into the chart, read it, learn about it. See if you can find them in the internet as well. So you can have them for your own, study them, and get to become more familiar with these colors and how they work with your aura, how you can use them to help you, to have a healthy, well-balanced aura, a positive outlook, how to help with strengthening when bringing calm when necessary, when you need to be more grounded, more aware, more clear in thinking, and mind, especially making proper decisions, for instance, when you need a little vitality and energy because you're feeling a little bit low or a little bit down, how to bring those colors to help you, to give you good health, well-being, and balance in your life. So you can also catch this program on Metaphysical Communion, my YouTube channel also. So you can tell others about this, too. So for those who are not on Facebook necessarily, they can tap into YouTube and find me there under the Metaphysical Communion channel. And just before we close, I'd like to give credit where it's due, obviously. So the large color charts that are presented here this evening are by colormeanings.com. So you can go into colormeanings.com and you can most likely find them there for yourself. And then the smaller charts are the aura meaning charts, are by loveknow.com. So you can look into them, as into their website, and find those charts there too, okay? And again, you can just look at my video. I might post these charts as well, you know, on my page later on, so you can also look at them there too and make it more easier, more convenient for you. So I do hope that you found this program to be educational and helpful. I'm glad that we were able to have it again and that the sound was excellent this time around. And that you learned something to be helpful to yourself, helpful for your healing practices. You can incorporate this for your own work and for helping others as well too. You can use these colors and your aura work for your crystals. If you work with crystals and stones, you find gems, find crystals that have these color attributes and work with them for your own self-healing or for those of others, projecting of the energies too. As I said before, for learning more about working with these colors, just find ribbons with these colors and start working with them. Start feeling them, start getting a sense of their energy and how that can help you get familiarized with their texture, with their tones, how it works with your aura, how it works with others, you know, also. So again, thank you so much for joining this evening. And I'm glad to be able to have provided this educational experience for you. You can always message me or let me know in comments, you know, how, you know, you found this lesson, you know, to be. Was it helpful for you? Where you think that, you know, perhaps it could have been better, you know, even. I love all comments. I appreciate that. The more I learn, the more we all learn. And the exchange of information is how we all, you know, learn more, and we can be more helpful to one another, you know, in the future. So have a good weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Focus on your aura. Tap into it. Use these colors to help you, to give you that vitality, that energy, that health, you know, that we can all use, you know, for our well-being and to give to others always too. So have a blessed weekend. I will see you next week, everyone. Take good care. Love and light to you always. Bye-bye.